You are now listening to a member of the Disney Podcast family. Head over to Disney Podcast Family on Instagram to see all the latest posts for this show and links to other great Disney podcasts.
Melissa Pilgrim is our choice for your next Disney vacation. You can reach her at amagicalpilgrimage@gmail.com. We thank her for her support.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejados de las puertas.
Doors changing.
From Main Street. Tonight, I have Stewart Boyles with me. He's here to help me out, and we're going to be talking about the Jungle Cruise movie, what may have happened there, and what might we do with the ride to help a movie out. It's going to be a fun one, but we have a few things to get through before we can get to that, don't we, Stewart? Thank you, Stewart, for being here.
Anytime, Brian, anytime.
All right, so after enjoying the show, everybody, please go like, subscribe, and for sure, go share the show with a friend or family member. They can find us on their favorite podcast app or even on YouTube because we're in video. How about that?
It's video. It's the way of the world.
It's nobody wants to hear you anymore. They just want to see you.
They do. They just want to see you. And you have to worry about all of this.
Yes. So new episodes every Tuesday. Join us every week for a brand new episode. Stewart, before we got started, I was watching our good friend Janelle from Disney Parks with Love. She was streaming the Halloween parade. So if I break out into Booty You at some point, that's why. But I just wanted to give a welcome to those of you that have found us through Janelle's channel. I love that you're here, and I'm so glad that I can bring you more content. I have a question for you, and that is about dream jobs. If you haven't been listening yet, this is your first episode. We have been talking about dream jobs at Disney World. And if you need, like we're just looking for anything, whatever you would want to do at Disney World, we're looking to hear from you. So I heard from Jamie Calise this week, and she said mine would be to be Princess Belle, but I'm too old. Maybe I'd be Minnie. Thank you, Jamie.
Wouldn't that be friends to Princess Belle or Minnie?
Well, right. The correct lingo would be friends too. I totally agree with that. Yes.
But you know what? You live your best life. I'm not going to tell you what to do. If you want to be friends with Belle or Minnie, you go right on down there and you figure it out. That's what I'm going to tell you to do.
That being a friend to a character, I think would be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like seeing the joy on their faces, and the fun you get out of that. The one thing that worries me about being a character or being a friend to a character is having somebody come in and tell me that the next guest, we need to give them the world, and I don't know how well I'd be able to handle something like that. So
yeah. So I personally am too big of a person to be a character or a friend to a character, and if this hat is any indication, I don't think I'd handle their clothes, I guess is a way to say that. Because I would lose all of this glorious winter weight that I have, because I would just sweat all day long.
I don't know. I feel like there's got to be. Anyway, we're not going to talk about that. Let's get too far.
We just got into the weeds.
We did. too weedy.
Yes.
Stewart, though, I want to know your dream job. What job would you love to have at Disney World?
Okay, I mean, everyone's gonna say like ride operator or uh, 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 friend to a character or something like that. Me personally, I would, and I know this is gonna sound weird, I would love to be like a custodian, walking around sweeping up the popcorn, right? Or, or I mean, I guess sometimes they do the water
Water
sculptures or
art?
paint.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that would be fun. But the best one of my core memories from Disney is my wife and I were in Anaheim, and we were sitting behind the turkey leg shack right in front of the Matterhorn, and we saw this.
Oh, I haven't had a good turkey leg in a while.
Right.
Yeah.
And this was, gosh, this must have been like 25 years ago or something like that. So we were sitting there, and this custodian, I'm not sure the correct lingo, so forgive me, but cast member, was he swept up all the popcorn, and then he got to the where there's the water, and he swept it all out and fed it to the ducks. And I thought, you know what? You're in the most magical place on earth. You're in Disneyland, and you're feeding the ducks, and there's got to be some sort of metaphor for that. So it is, but it's I don't know. That's always the job that stuck with me. I would love to be, sure, a ride operator or whatever, but
Yeah.
even the and I don't want to say lowest jobs, but it's not glamorous, cleaning up the mess and stuff on Main Street. Still has fun, still has opportunity, still brings joy.
Yes. So I have something to add to that. A good friend of ours, or even family to Tammy, and she's been on the show. She's a cast member now, and has done 3 stints as a college program prior to going on with them. And she did a run as janitorial, and the only reason she did it was because she wanted to learn the water arts and
Yeah.
learned that was the department you had to be in. So she loved doing that. She loved learning all those different characters that you get to create. And then the other piece is, you are in the most magical,
Yeah.
the happiest place, whichever coast you want to pick.
Yeah.
We have met a couple years ago. I was out at Disneyland, and I got to meet a cast member that was also running a YouTube channel at the time, and he's having a blast working there as well. And you could just see it in the way he interacts with other guests and with people that just, come up to him and say hello. So, yeah.
And I even in my own personal job try to remember that picture, that picture of Walt picking up the piece of trash early morning. And try to,
I think we lost Stewart a little bit there. So I believe what you're saying is, you think about how Walt used to clean up trash even at his level. He felt that every employee, every person in the company had that responsibility. And I think that's a great thing to keep in your life as well. The time period immediately after fireworks at the Magic Kingdom in the hub, I almost lost my mind because the hub was a disaster, and I could not believe it. Like, the amount of garbage that people just left behind, it really bothered me. So, to that end, Disney's ready for that. And 10 minutes later, you couldn't even tell that it had looked like that. It may have not even been 10 minutes. They had it cleaned up that quickly. So I just, like, as you were saying, like, people just need to, get pick up something up after themselves, and everyone will be happy at that point. So yeah, your dream job, Stewart, to be a popcorn cleaner upper, a bit of a cleaner upper.
It's
So please, everybody, just let us know your dream job
yeah.
at Disney World. We'll definitely read it on the show. I'm looking for these every week, guys. So please let us know. So, Stuart, the last time you were on the show, we
Yeah.
were retheming things. We specifically a certain
Yeah.
island in the middle of a certain number one visited park in the country.
Yeah.
That may have made some news the last few weeks.
Recently. Yeah.
Recently. And before I, drag that out too much, we're talking about Tom Sawyer Island,
Mhm.
which has definitely been announced in, albeit quiet fashion, that they will be paving it over. Somebody's paving paradise. They are getting rid of the rivers of America, and they are going to put in a Cars attraction.
Mm.
So you wanted to revisit this. We had done this
Yeah.
a while back.
So fun. Yeah, so Tom Sawyer Island, the timing of that conversation was really interesting, wasn't it? Because we were
Yeah,
sitting
it
there
was.
thinking about how to we understood that it needed to be jazzed up a little bit, and we still think that it does. The problem
Right.
is, it doesn't draw people, right?
Yeah.
Cars, there's a group of kids who have kids who grew up on Cars, and they're going to go to Cars Land, which Cars Land at DCA is really cool, by the way. But I don't think this is going to be that. I hope not. I don't want to, I want different things, different places. But
And
I
I don't think
still,
it is. This is really a big they said like a mud pit type of off-roading attraction, it seems like. So
yeah, I still want one of the things we brought up. That's my main thing about Tom Sawyer Island is that I want the place where the kids can go and the adults like chill out and not have to get a lightning lane and Genie Plus or Fast Pass or whatever it's called at that moment to get into this place where they can just sit down and relax, and let the kids run away.
yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that flows with the park.
Mhm.
Like we talked about last time, it's nice for the kids to have a place to get rid of that other type of energy that they have.
Mhm.
So it is what it is. I realized that the rivers of America were on the table for being changed, I think that could really open up possibilities, and obviously Cars is one of the things coming.
Mhm.
And I
Have
think
you ever
I think the biggest issue with Tom Sawyer Island has always been the fact that you have to take the
Mhm.
raft over there, because that is a time suck. If
Mhm.
you could just walk over a bridge and go play and then leave instead of having to wait for that raft, I think that would help.
Yeah, and it's not even that big of a wait, but you're true. You're right. It is a wait, and it does have a time suck, and it does not feel like you're being productive on
Right.
how much ticket prices and all of that are
Yeah,
at those
exactly.
parks.
Yeah.
Um, have you ever seen Rivers of America drained?
Oh, I want to say I've seen video of it, but I don't think.
It's really surreal. When we went right like the December of COVID, and so everything was still really locked down, and Rivers America was drained because I think they were cleaning it or something, and it was really surreal. So I don't know. Do we know if they're going to do anything to Disneyland, to Orlando? Not Orlando,
No,
Anaheim.
there's nothing on the agenda for Anaheim at this point. And that's one thing that I keep going back to is that we've still got the original park. We're
Yeah,
still going to
yeah.
have a lot of that. So, and that's, Tammy and I were talking the other day that there's so many similarities right
Mhm.
now between the two coasts that it's difficult to, like I can sit down and maybe on one hand name
4 or 5
rides,
things, right?
right, that are different, but pretty
Right,
much everything is the same, even though they might be a little different in some
right,
way,
right. When
Um,
I was when the first time we ever went to Walt Disney World, I was like 9, right? And my dad goes, "Why are you going? You got Disneyland, that's the Magic Kingdom. You've got a big golf ball, that's Epcot, and you've got Universal Studios, and that's MGM Studios. What else do you need?" Animal Kingdom wasn't open yet. But there's a grain of truth to that, right?
yeah.
Is that Magic Kingdom and Disneyland are so similar, even though can't Disneyland fit in like inside of the parking lot for Magic Kingdom or something like that? I mean, the size differences are huge, but I mean, I grew up going to Disneyland, so don't change that one, but change Florida all you want.
I'll leave it at this. I always go back to a comment that was made right after the D23. I'm still calling it Expo. I don't care that they've changed it to fan event. It's still MGM Studios. Yes,
That's right.
I'm old. Thank you. But a comment was made that it's time for our kids to be able to enjoy their movies.
Mhm.
And that requires us old timers to give up
Mhm.
on
The
the
Robin Hood
yeah.
themed Tom Sawyer Island, which I'm sorry, I won't give up on it, but they're not going to make it anyway, so it's okay.
And like it or not, Disney Plus is pushing a lot of this. It's the
Yeah.
views that they're getting on Disney Plus that is driving the IP that they're using in the parks. Now, you and me both, I believe, would love to see something like a Haunted Mansion, like a Big Thunder Mountain, where it's created not with an IP, but creating an IP. That doesn't sell tickets, though. Look at Tron. Nobody cares about Tron. Nobody, I mean, barely any. I can't believe that they brought a Tron themed roller coaster here because I don't think there's they keep making these movies, so there must be a following, but I don't feel like that drove ticket sales. Like it just wasn't big enough of an IP. And right now it's how do we drive ticket sales? Epic Universe, it's Nintendo, it's that dragon stuff, How to Train Your Dragon. It's IPs that are popular. So to have, like all of that, it's hard to make an argument that an unknown IP or ride is going to actually be worth or drive people to come to the parks. So, all that being said, that brings us to our main topic tonight, and that is the Jungle Cruise movie.
Yeah.
This is a ride, a very
Mm-hmm.
popular classic ride in both parks
Mm-hmm.
that they tried to do a movie about. And the movie didn't do well. Now, it was in the middle of COVID, so
Mm-hmm.
you have to factor that in.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, it didn't do well. I don't know what kind of numbers Disney was seeing. I don't know what kind of numbers they see now,
Mm-hmm.
but it didn't do well. So I wanted to talk about that. Let's talk about the movie. Let's talk about how it may have led into something with the ride, physically. And let's think about this. What do you think? What could we have done differently?
Well, so first off, the movie reminded me of The African Queen with Bogey and Katharine Hepburn.
And I
And
think they were going for that a little bit
yeah,
because
yeah.
because the ride was
Mhm.
considered, was using the African Queen.
Right,
Sorry, go
right.
ahead.
No, I almost wish they would have just remade that, right? The thing about the Jungle Cruise was, I think Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, wanted he wanted to be a cast member on the Jungle Cruise at one point, right? And so he's like, "Well, I'm going to do it this way," and I don't know that for sure. And Mr. The Rock, if you are watching this, please correct me. I will be okay with it. But the idea being that he could never get a job at Disneyland, so he wanted to be a Jungle Cruise person, and so he wanted to make all the jokes about backside of water and all that sort of stuff. That being said, I still had fun in the movie. I thought the movie was good. There were a little few things that I was like, okay, a submarine down the Amazon, really?
Yeah.
But whatever. But I think it speaks to a generalization of Disney movies and the way Disney is making their movies, which is by committee and by doing a ton of reshoots. That's why their budgets get so exploded, is that they shoot part of a movie, they don't like it, they throw most of it away, they then bring in people to shoot the rest of the movie. And they're doing that. They did that with some TV shows, and they've done that with a couple of MCU properties, and the Jungle Cruise was sort of the first, maybe not the first iteration of that, but a good example of that for a lot of things. So ultimately, could we have made a better movie? Yeah, and that's something Hollywood and Disney or Hollywood in general, Disney specifically, is struggling with now. How do we make better media? And to be honest, they really need to figure it out, because the subpar stuff is getting really annoying. The Acolyte's another version of that. It's like, let's make half of it and then throw it away and then make the rest of it and go back and forth, and it doesn't work.
We're gonna leave Star Wars alone right now.
Yeah,
we're not going there.
But the point is, we need to actually make good media. So then, how do we transition that into the ride? And I think there was some crossover. It would have been nice to see. Let's put a submarine in the Jungle Cruise. How cool would that have been, right?
Right. Yeah.
Actually get shot at by a submarine.
I mean, everything about the Jungle Cruise is ridiculous. So to have a submarine fits right in. I mean, you can go that route. Now, for myself, watching, we just recently watched the movie. And for myself, I drew a lot of correlations back to the first Pirates movie. You had the old pirates, or in this case, the tribe that The Rock was a part of, and I can't remember the exact history of it, but at the time that we meet Mr. Johnson, he's 400 years old in the movie, Frank, right? And so that's kind of the same idea as the pirates, where they've been chasing the gold pieces and they can't die because they're basically dead, and so that was one correlation I brought back to pirates. And then the if you follow the pirate story and you follow the Jungle Cruise story, there's a lot of correlations going back and forth, and that's just one of them. I thought that was part of the problem with the movie, is that they were trying to follow that formula that made pirates popular. So my thought process on this was, what if they had not done it that way? What if they had taken more elements of the story of the ride and put it into not just saying the backside of water or having the piranhas attacking at one point, actually bringing some of those story elements they've already created into this movie?
Well, so one of the things I didn't even remember about the movie until you just brought it up was the whole supernatural element of him not being dead for 400 years or whatever. And to show you how well that sat with me. So I'd forgotten all about that. But there's an element. Okay, so in the Pirates ride, you can be a little bit spooky because there's a little bit of spookiness to go along with it, right? In the Jungle Cruise, it's more, for lack of a better word, mundane. You are going through all of the great rivers of, jungle rivers, but it's the realism, it's the mundaneness of things. You're not supernatural. You're not flying. You're just regular Joes going through, the jungle. And I thought that would have been a little bit more interesting, but we don't make movies like that anymore. That's the problem with transitioning movies into rides, is we don't do that. So if you think about a Big Thunder Mountain Railroad ride, to me, it's an action adventure Western, but there's no supernatural element to it.
What does there have to be?
I don't think it has to be supernatural. I think it could just be a Wild West, shoot 'em up, not even shoot 'em up, but like, the bad guys trying to steal the gold and then their hills and
but I don't even like Westerns aren't working anymore right now. Like Kevin Costner just created this big old movie. They actually shot 2 of them, and the first one flopped so bad that they just yanked the second one and said, nah, we're not doing anything with it. They've already put the money into it, and it's not even worth distributing at this point. All right, we are back. We are fighting some technical issues. You may have noticed, Stewart. Yeah, Stewart's been a little jumbly and glitchy here and there, so Wreck-It Ralph must be doing his best right now.
Wreck-It Ralph.
Wreck-It. He's wrecking the internet.
Yeah.
So anyway, we were talking about Jungle Cruise movie. We were talking about Big Thunder Railroad. I think you were trying to tell me that it could be a Western, and I was saying, no, this cannot be a Western. It's not going to work.
And the ultimate point I was going to make was, good stories will will come out over everything, right? And one of the things that Jungle Cruise and the original Pirates ride, and even the remake of the Pirates movie, but not the subsequent sequels, by the way, all have in common is that they're all really good stories, right? And that's the thing Walt wanted. He wanted really good stories. And unfortunately, when you have a bunch of people involved, you don't make good stories. You end up making stories by committee, and that doesn't work. So I think we're in a time of Hollywood and media when we're focused on trying to make the next big IP rather than the next good story. And we'll see how that goes. But how does that relate to the ride?
Yeah, things have been improving as far as movies. The last couple of movies have worked out. So Inside Out 2 has gone well. I know we're excited for Moana 2, so I'm hoping there's hope there, right? So yes, back to Jungle Cruise. This movie was well done.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun. I enjoyed watching it when we watched it recently. I had forgotten about some of the fun that was in there. And The Rock does a good job being The Rock, but he's not just The Rock, he's Frank, and I thought he did a good job of that.
He is a movie star. He is a showman beyond showman.
Yes.
I mean, and he was that back in the wrestling days. He was that when he guested on Star Trek Voyager. I mean, he has been a showman his entire life. And for that, awesome. Put them in a movie; it's going to work.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, the last third of it was the supernatural part where he couldn't die or whatever, and that was the weird part. So just leave that out of the ride, but bring back the loop and the music loop. Oh my gosh, there is a YouTube video that is an hour and a half, or maybe it's just an hour. Doesn't matter. I play it over and over again. That is just the cue music.
Yes, I do the same. Yes.
I love cue music. I want a pin.
Okay, so Stewart wasn't able to stay with us. The glitching, Wreck-It Ralph just got the best of him there. So he was trying to say that he wants a pin of the complete set of How to Learn Swahili, but knows that that'll never get made. So, Jungle Cruise, the movie, I think it really could have worked well, but it had too many similarities, I think, to Pirates, and it made harken back a little bit to how Disney was trying too hard at the time. And I think they are starting to get back to making good movies again. I alluded to Inside It Out 2, and we're looking forward to Moana 2. And I'm forgetting right now, but I believe there was another movie this summer that did well for them. But for some reason, I can't think of it. And maybe that's because there isn't one. But, let me know your thoughts on Jungle Cruise, because like I said, it was an enjoyable movie. And maybe it was just that those similarities to Pirates and that formula just isn't working like it did for Pirates. As Stewart said, seeing a submarine come through the ride would have been kind of cool. But I also would have liked to have seen the camp people climbing up the pole with a rhino, but actually have a reason as to why we see them in the movie, not just passing by like you would in the ride. Like maybe the story starts with them, right? And we see them running up the pole, running from the rhino. We get a backstory. There is a backstory to those characters. Disney published it right before they reopened Jungle Cruise, when they added them in. And to have maybe that story be shown in a movie, and maybe that transitions to Frank as he's going by. I'm drawing a blank on the actress's name, but maybe she should have been Alberta Falls. Why not? I mean, I think that would tie in a lot better to this ride, to have Alberta Falls running the tour company that he works for. I think something along these lines could really help the movie. Do we need the supernatural? I don't know. You guys let me know that. Leave it in the comments. Send me a text on the text line. Let me know, should they do the supernatural stuff in these movies when it comes to rides? I don't know that we need it. But it's something that I think if we were to take and draw from some of these different pieces of the story they already have in the ride, that we could really get a good cohesive movie going that would then feed back into the ride itself. Just like Pirates, the ride inspired the movie, which now inspires the ride, which inspires more movies. And that's what they want to do. I think they can do it if they try to bring more of what they've already written, the story they've already got, bring that into the movie, right? So let me know about your dream job. I would love to hear from you guys. Remember that we have new episodes every Tuesday, and you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And it's been great. This has been a lot of fun. But like we always say, some live close, but others don't. So let's talk about it. We'll see you next time on Miles from Main Street.